We are back with yet another showdown team builder. And yeah, we're going to be covering the other metagames today. And yeah, let's just dive right in, starting with almost any ability, where basically the format is it's as exactly as it sounds. You pick your Pokemon and you can attach pretty much any ability to them. So we're starting off with a Corviknight with Terra Ground, as I like to make all of my Corviknights. Leftovers, and the ability. See, we can pick any ability you want. For Corviknight, we're going to go with Well-Baked Body, which adds a fire immunity and boosts the defense when hit by a fire move. So that is super valuable to cover up one of Corviknight's big weaknesses. And yeah, it's just a really good ability for Corviknight. We're going to go max HP, max special defense, the remaining 4 in defense. And we want that special defense boost because Well-Baked Body will cover up the physical defensive side. And next we have Goldango, of course, because what is a team without Goldango? We're going to go with Leftovers, Magic Guard, and Shadow Ball, Nasty Plot, Recover, and Make It Rain. And I don't like the EVs that it's giving me, but we're gonna go with just the basic Special Sweeper. And next we're gonna go with Great Tusk, because once again this Pokemon's phenomenal. Pretty much using it in nearly every format that I can. Of course we're gonna go with lefties. We're gonna go with the Regenerator Great Tusk. So this not only will be an offensive Pokemon, it will be staying alive for crazy amounts of time. Give it the usual stabs. We're gonna give it rocks. Why does it keep recommending HP? I don't want HP. I just want basic physical sweeper things, and with a jolly nature. And of course, as we name all of our tusks, we're gonna call it Donphan. Next, we're gonna go with Dragonite, and you think like, hey, why Dragonite? Dragonite's main gimmick is multi-scale, right? But have you considered Aerialate Dragonite, having stab on that E-speed without Terra? You could just get Flying Stab. It's crazy strong, and it also gets a boost to that power as well. And of course, we need Roost for healing because we always want to heal Dragonite up. And we're gonna go with for once it gives me the EV spread I want. Physical Sweeper, Dragonite. Next, we're gonna go with Iron Moth, which we like to call Solarona. Not Soilorona, Solarona. Terra Grass. Not Terra Ghost, Terra Grass. And we're going to be going with Boots as well, in addition to Dragonites. And its ability is actually going to be Desolate Land. Crazy boost to fire moves and a water immunity. Super good. And of course we're going to go with basic stabs, Morning Sun, which Morning Sun will now boost even more due to the sun. And of course Toxic Spikes just as a filler move. And Timid. Finally, we're going to go with Tinglu. Now Tinglu is an interesting Pokemon because it's definitely defensive, but we're going to combine it with another one of the best leads and give it Toxic Debris. So basically every time it gets hit by a physical move, I believe, it will set up Toxic Spikes. So it will be the ultimate hazard, Whirlwind Setter, Ruination, and Spikes. And we're gonna go with not this EV spread either. Max HP, max special defense, and the remaining 4 in attack, just for earthquake purposes. And we are going to make it Sassy. And common threats that you'll probably end up finding is Corviknight, which is covered by Solarona or Iron Moth, but Opposing Great Tusks, you have Dragonite. Opposing Avalugs, you have Iron Moth. Opposing Iron Moths, you have Tinglu. Opposing Goldingo, you have Tinglu. Opposing Tinglu, you have Great Tusk. And opposing King Gambit, because you will find some King Gambits, you want to use Tusk for that as well. Alright, balanced Hackmons. This is basically any Pokemon that you can hack into your game is able to be used, with exceptions because things get banned because it's balanced Hackmons. It's basically like OU play, but Pokemon can be hacked into the game. So, that being said, we're going to start with Zacian Ground. Because, with Covert Cloak, because we don't want to get hit by those secondary effects. And we're going to go with Auriculum Pulse, which, because it boosts your attack. Well, and then we're going to go with Magical Torque. V-Create, taking advantage of that sun. Strength Sap, which is the best healing move in the game. And Headlong Rush, just for extremely strong coverage. And the thing about balanced Hackmons is you can EV 252 in everything, if you so choose. And so really the more important thing is the nature, and we're going Jolly for the Zacian. Next we're going to go with Dondozo, which may seem like a weird pick, but Fur Coat Dondozo is extremely bulky. And we're going to go with Covert Cloak for this as well. Covert Cloak is very, very important in balanced Hackmons. And we're going to go with the most annoying hazard moves: Haze, Flip Turn so we can get out, and Parting Shot in case we want to get out, not through damage, and Shore Up, which is the most reliable healing move, not to be confused with Strength Sap, which heals the most at a time, but Shore Up has the ability to heal more. I mean, it's because unlike Morning Sun has, like, if rain is up, then it heals less, but Shore Up does not have that. It always heals half and only can get stronger with sand. And we're actually gonna EV this not fully. We're not gonna do special defense investment or speed. We are gonna put that special attack up. And no, wait, hold on. I want my special defense up and not my special attack. Sorry, I don't want it impish. I want lowered speed because I don't need speed on this Dondozo. Alright, next we're gonna go with Blissey. Now, of course, this is going to be the Imposter Blissey, which is very, very obnoxious. And Covert Cloak, because Covert Cloak is very, very important. Bounce Hackmons, Heal Bell, and then Shore Up for that healing. Even though most of the time these moves aren't even going to be used at all, because you'll just be transformed into whatever you're transforming into. Yep, this is the EV spread I want, except for we're going to change that to boosting special defense instead. Alright, next we have Tinglu. And Tinglu is going to be running Ice Scales. If it lets me. Ice Scales, which basically doubles special defense. So now Tinglu is even more bulky than it was before. And we're going to go with U-Turn, Knock Off for Stab, Salt Cure as one of the most annoying moves to deal with, and Ceaseless Edge as just a way to set up spikes in addition to doing stab damage. And I don't like this EV spread. I'm going to put that special attack back and remove that speed. And we're going to go with a completely different nature as well, having that special defense being even more crazy, and we don't need the speed. Next we have Eternatus, which Eternatus it's a very strong Pokemon. Let's just be completely honest. And we're going to go with a Mold Breaker, So we're able to break through with any ability that potentially has immune effects. So we're gonna go with Dragon Energy, Strength Sap, Torch Song. So this is more focused on Flash Fire and Well-Baked Body. We can still hit them with Torch Song and get that boost. And of course Toxic. And this is the EV spread I want. Alright, the final Pokemon that we're gonna add is actually going to be Arceus Fire. Now, of course, we're gonna run Covert Cloak. Basically, everything on this team has Covert Cloak, with the exception of Singlu, which has leftovers, and same with Eternatus. We're gonna go with Fur Coat, and we're gonna go with V-Create, Morning Sun, Tidy Up, and Toxic. I mean, Tidy Up is basically just better Dragon Dance, and because now it gets rid of hazards. And yeah, so with this team, we're able to cover pretty much all the Battle Hackmons for threats. Zacian Crown gets beaten by Arceus Fire. Arceus Fire gets beaten by Dondozo. Well, really just walled by Dondozo. Corviknight gets beaten by Arceus Fire. Landorus T you might see occasionally. So Dondozo really helps with that as well. You might see the occasional Palafin, in which there's not really a direct counter for, but Palafin is not as common as it used to be. Miraidon gets beaten by Zacian. Opposing Dondozo. What would be really annoying is you send in Blissey against an opposing Dondozo, and that's just like a really defensive standstill. Giratina gets beaten by Zacian. Chansey basically fills the same role as Blissey. There's going to be the occasional opposing Groudon, in which, once again, you have Dondozo. And Tinglu gets beaten by Dondozo, and Blissey is once again an imposter Pokemon. And then Eternatus gets beaten by Zacian. Alright, next we got Mix in Mega, in which we're going to start out with Goldango. And because, of course, we got to include Goldango every time we can. We're going to go with Latiosite, which gives it Levitate, and therefore immune to ground moves. So we're going to have Shadow Ball, Nasty Plot, Recover, and of course Make It Rain. We're going to EV this a little bit weird. 152 and special attack, and 208 in HP, and 148 speed. And we're going to go with the minus attack, so it's going to be modest. Next, we're actually going to go with an Arcanine, which may seem weird, but you'll see why we're using this in a sec. So we're going to be going with Altarianite, which makes it a fire and fairy type. And it will have Stab, Extreme Speed. It'll be so good. Morning Sun for healing, Flare Blitz for keeping that fire stab, and just Howl in case we want to make that physical attack even better. We're going to go with Adamant over Jolly, but a physical sweeper EV spread. Next we're going to go with Iron Valiant, and of course Terra Steel, as we make pretty much all of our Iron Valiants. We're going to go with a No Guard set, so Pidgeotite, which means this is investing in special attack. So Moonblast, Focus Blast, Psychic, and Icy Wind. None of these, so this Focus Blast is hitting 100% of the time, which is really funny considering Focus Blast is notorious for missing all the time. So now that you have No Guard, you don't have to worry about that at all. And we're going to call our Iron Valiant Galgaraze. Next we have Clodsire, which we are going to go with a very annoying defensive Clodsire, as most Clodsires are. But we're going to be giving it Magic Bounce with Sableye and lots of defense boosts. So we'll go with Recover, Earthquake, if I can spell. Still can't type. Earthquake, and Curse, So we could also have a chance of sweeping. And then, of course, Toxic. And we're going to go with, yep, the CV spread. Next, we have Chen Pao, which we're going to go with a Tough Claws Aerodactylite set. With Sacred Sword, Ice Spinner, Sword Stance to make it even stronger, and of course the priority Dark Stab Sucker Punch. And we're going to go with a Physical Sweeper, as we always do for Chen Pao. Finally, we have Hippowdon, which we will run Pinsir. Pincerite, so we can make it Flying type, because that would be hilarious to have. Because Ground Flying is just such a good type. So we're going to try to utilize that to the best of our ability. So we're going to go with Slack Off, Earthquake, Curse, and Facade in case they try to status Hippowdon. And I almost like this EV spread, except for I want the 252 plus in special defense. Alright, yeah, here's our Mix and Mega team. And some threats you want to look out for are Iron Treads, which gets beaten by Clodsire. There's Iron Bundle, which can't use Mega Stones, but it's still a threat, so just use Goldengo. Corviknight gets beaten by Arcanine. Opposing Clodsire get beaten by Chen Pao. There's Glamoras occasionally, which get beaten by Clodsire. There's Baxcalibur, which gets beaten by Iron Valiant. There's Great Tusk, which is still everywhere, which gets beaten by Chen Pao. Just watch out for fighting moves. Goldengo gets beaten by Arcanine. Just be careful. Like, if you do find a Goldengo, it doesn't hurt to wait to Mega until after you beat that Goldengo, and then become a Fairy type and neutral against Steel types. Iron Valiant gets beaten by a Goldengo. Chen Pao gets beaten by Iron Valiant. Hippowdons get beaten by Chen Pao. There's going to be the occasional Skeledirge that you might see, which will get beaten by Clodsire. And same with Iron Moth as Cinderace. And Blissey gets beaten by Iron Valiant. Alright, next we have Godly Gift. So the way this format works is that you have one God Pokemon, which is basically, in this generation, is just either Koraidon or Miraidon. And the slot of your team the slot of a Pokemon on your team determines what stat that Pokemon inherits. So the order in which we are putting in these Pokemon is not necessarily, like the rest of these teams, it's like we start with the best Pokemon and we build around it. For this format, we got to put our HP Pokemon first, and then our attack, and etc, etc. So spoiler alert, we're going to be running a Koraidon team. And the inheritant of the HP is going to be Toxapex, because not a lot of people know this, but Toxapex's HP is actually really bad. And the only reason it's so good is because of how busted these defenses are. So now we're going to be giving it we're actually giving it decent HP. So we're going to go with a Rocky Helmet, Terra Water, of course always Regenerator, Toxic Spikes, not Toxic, Toxic Spikes, Recover, Haze, and Infestation, just to get some damage on there. We're going to go max HP, because now that HP is going to be good, and max defense, and a little bit in special attack. We're going to be having a nature boosted defense and reduced attack. Next we need our attack stat inherited, which we're actually going to give to Corviknight. So we're going to make this an offensive Corviknight, which will catch a lot of people off guard, and I think that would be really, really funny. And we're going to go with Rocky Helmet. We're going to do a bulk up sweeper with Roost, Brave Bird, and Defog. Because like people aren't going to be expecting an offensive Corviknight. Well, actually they will see that it's in the attack slot, and then they'll be like, oh god. So just offensive sweeper Corviknight is actually very, very good when it has the attack stat of Koraidon. So that's going to be really, really interesting against opponents. In the defense stat, we're going to have Clodsire, because Clodsire is very definitely a special defensive Pokemon. But we're going to make that defense good as well. With Black Sludge, Terra Ground, Unaware Clodsire. So of course we're going to recover. We're going to have Poison Jab, just do a little bit of damage. Earthquake, and Spikes. And we're going to go with a... yeah, we're going to go with this EV spread. It's still going to be more specially defensive, but that defense stat is going to be increased just a bit. Next, we're going to go with, of course, our God Koraidon, since one of the stats is not going to be utilized. And so, of course, you're going to want to put... If you're going to run Miraidon, you put in the attack stat. If you're going to want to run Koraidon, you put in the special attack stat. And we're giving it Scarf. And we're going to run Dragon Claw, Flare Blitz, Close Combat, and U-Turn. And we're going to want to... Yep, this EV spread works. Next, we're going to go with Special Defense, which we're going to give to Dondozo. Basically the same logic as Clodsire, just on the other side of the defensive spectrum. And so we're going to give it Boots. And so now you can look at Koraidon and see that 100 HP is going to Toxapex, that 135 attack is going to Corviknight, 115 defense for Clodsire, and now 100 special defense for Dondozo. And Dondozo, we're going to go with a Rest Curse set with Wave Crash and Earthquake. And we're going to go with max HP and max special defense with Nature Boosted. And we don't need special attack, and we'll just put the remaining in for defense. And finally, we're going to just go with a Speedy Amoonguss. So instead of 30 speed, this thing now has a blazing fast 135 speed. This is the fastest Amoonguss you will ever see. And we're actually going to run an AV set with it. We're going to run Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain. Because like 85 special attack's not great, but it's still really funny. And Foul Play, to use opposing Koraidon's attack stats against them. And then Clear Smog to get rid of any boosters. And so we're going to go with max HP, max special defense, and a little bit of speed with a Nature Boost in special defense as well. And yeah, this is our Godly Gift team. There's of course lots of things to look out for. Pretty much everyone is running Toxapex in that HP slot, so make sure you have your Clodsire ready for that. There is the occasional Mouse Hold in the attack stat, so just use Koraidon to destroy it. Florges could end up in a defensive slot, so you have Amoonguss. Opposing Koraidon, you want to be fully aware of, and you can use Corviknight for that. Ting Lu could sometimes be in that special defense stat, which you have Dondozo for. Corviknight sometimes run in either attack or it's sometimes run in the speed. But either way, you could use Koraidon to... Well, no, because Koraidon's scary against Corviknight. It's really a toss-up in that regard. If someone's running a Miraidon, then you have Clodsire for that. Opposing Clodsires get beaten by Dondozo. Just watch out for Water Absorb. Dragapult is beaten by the fastest Amoonguss in the West. Iron Treads sometimes is an issue, which you have Koraidon for. Iron Moth, you have Clodsire. Opposing Dondozo, you have Super Speed Amoonguss. And opposing Amoonguss, you have Koraidon for. Alright, we got 2 formats left, so we're going to go with STABmons now, which basically is every Pokemon has like same ability, same normal things, except for their move pool, is now expanded to have every move of their given type. So for example, the best Pokemon in this format is Iron Valiant, because it has a crazy wide fairy and fighting type move pool now. So we're gonna go with the choice specs set. Always Terra Steel, not Terra Rock, Terra Steel. And because now it gets access to Fluor Cannon, which is ridiculous. It gets access to Vacuum Wave, priority special fighting move. It still gets Moonblast and Thunderbolt for coverage, but the more important parts are Fluor Cannon and Vacuum Wave. And we're gonna go with the special sweeper set. And of course, we are going to call it Galgaraze. Next, we're gonna go with King Gambit, because King Gambit gets some ridiculous moves as well. Not Pressure, Supreme Overlord. And we're gonna go with the Terra Flying, Leftovers, and Sucker Punch. Gets access to Knockoff now, which it gets a Nat Dex, but it doesn't get normally. More importantly, it gets Gigaton Hammer, which all steel types are very, very happy to have access to that. And Sword Stance for boosting. We're going to EV this thing a little bit weird. Max attack, of course. But we're going to go with 92 in its speed and 164 in its HP. And next we're going to go with Azumarill, which really benefits from one move that is really, really good. Of course, we're going to Terra Steel you as always. And we're going to go with a Citrus Berry, because we are going to be running Jet Punch Belly Drum, because Jet Punch is basically just better Aqua Jet. And while we're at it, we can go with Hyper Drill, since Azumarill is a normal type, so it now gets access to all the normal moves as well. And then Surging Strikes for when we don't really need priority and we just want to hit absolutely hard. We're going to go with a max attack, max speed, with a little bit of HP, and we're going to go with a Jolly nature. Next we have Cyclizar, which we're going to Terra Fire. And we're going to go with the Scarf Cyclizar with Regenerator. And of course we're keeping Shed Tail, as every Cyclizar should run. But we're going to give it some powerful stab in Boom Burst, U-Turn to always switch out, and then Dragon Energy. So if we really want to use offensive Cyclizar, it is now 100% an option. Super, super good. Next we're going to go with Glamora, which we haven't used in a hot minute. We're going to go with a Sash Glamora, keeping Toxic Debris, with Stone Axe, which is basically just Stealth Rocks with chip damage. And of course we're going to keep Mortal Spin, Earth Power, and Sludge Wave, which are all moves that it normally gets. And we're going to go with this EV spread, except for we're not going to give it attack, because the main point of the main purpose of Stone Axe is to just get rocks up, but the additional damage also helps. And finally, we're going to go with Iron Hands, or Stariyama, as I like to call it. And of course, we're going to go with Terra Steel, and we're going to give it Leftovers, because it gets access to some really good moves. It gets Drain Punch, it gets Double Shock, which is so good. Mach Punch, and it already gets Belly Drum. Mach Punch is really helpful for a Pokemon that's so slow. And we're going to actually EV this the same as King Gambit. We're going to max attack, minus special attack, 164 in HP, and the remaining 92 in speed. And yeah, there's a lot of STABmon threats. Normal Gallade sometimes appears around in the tier, in which we have Iron Valiant to beat. Iron Thorns sometimes appears throughout the tier, in which we have Glamora. Talonflame can pop up, which is why we have Thunderbolt. Opposing Cyclizar, which we have not only our own Dragon Energy Cyclizar, but we also have Iron Hands. Opposing Azumarill, we have Thunderbolt, Iron Valiant, which Thunderbolt, Iron Valiant also takes care of Corviknight, Barraskewda, Pelipper. And then there's also the occasional Tinglu, in which we have Iron Valiant for, and Iron Valiant of course beats itself, but it also, Iron Valiant also loses to Sludge Wave Glamora. And Arboliva gets beaten by Iron Valiant. Tatsugiri gets beaten by Cyclizar. Opposing Iron Valiants also get beaten by King Gambit loses to Iron Valiant. Glamora, you could have an Earth Power battle if you really wanted to. And then opposing Iron Hands get beaten by Valiant as well. Alright, now for the final team of the video, which is NFE, which isn't technically an other metagame like esque format, but it's really just like nobody knows where to put it, so they just kind of put it in other metagames. It's basically just you're not allowed to use final evolutions. And the best Pokemon in NFE right now has got to be Misdreavus. The Misdreavus is still like a really solid Pokemon. It's really, really good. Eviolite Misdreavus is a menace. With the sub, Shadow Ball, Nasty Plot, Energy Ball set. It's able to destroy a lot of the tier, and of course being a special attacker. And next we're gonna go with a physical attacker in Sneasel. And Sneasel, we like to Terra Ground. Even though Terra is actually not legal in NFE, but I like to set my Terra types anyways. Going with a Banded Sneasel with Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, Bite, so we could get those flinch chances, and then Quick Attack. And we're gonna go with, yes, the EV spread. Next we have Fletchinder, which is actually just like basically a, no, we're not gonna get wings it. Basically just a tiny Talonflame, of course, and of course we have to run Boots because it's quad weak to rocks. We're gonna go with Flare Blitz, Roost, U-Turn, and Defog. And I'm gonna go with a max HP, 192 attack, and the rest in speed. And I'm gonna nature boost that speed as well. Yeah, and then next we have Hatchram, which, like I said, in NFE it's basically just like baby versions of other Pokemon that are already being used. Of course, with the exception of like the really, really good base stages, which is like what Misdreavus and Sneasel are here for. We're gonna go with Eviolite, Hatchram, we're gonna do a Rest Talk set, which we haven't really seen much of in this generation, and we're gonna go with Psyshock and Nuzzle, which is basically just damage plus paralysis. We're gonna go with a max HP, 172 nature boosted special defense. And we don't need any investment in attack, and then we'll put the remaining 84 in defense. Alright, and next we have Gabite, which, like I said, it's baby Garchomp. Like, I don't know, it's not a whole lot to explain about it in NFE. It's just battling with awkward teenage stage Pokemon. So we got Swords Dance, we got Outrage, we got Earthquake, and we got Stealth Rocket. And basics, Physical Sweeper. And our final Pokemon is going to be Marini, because Marini is just, it's just good enough. Like, it's good in Little Cup, it's good in NFE. We're gonna go with a Covert Cloak, Marini, and we're gonna go with a just basically annoying Toxapex-esque Pokemon with Chilling Water, Haze, and Recover. And we're gonna go with max HP, max defense. Because actually, I just realized this, Toxapex and Marini have the exact same HP stat, which I find hilarious. And we're gonna go with bold nature. And with this NFE team, there's a common thread is Quaxwell, which gets beaten by Misdreavus. Glimmet gets beaten by Gabite. Sneasel gets beaten by Fletchender. Knacklestack, you might end up seeing a lot, which gets beaten by Misdreavus. Rufflet gets beaten by Sneasel. Florigato gets beaten by Fletchender. Tinkatuff gets beaten by not really any. No, that's not true. Fletchender beats Tinkatuff. You might see the occasional Dunsparce, which gets beaten by nothing in particular on this team, but Dunsparce is not that difficult to deal with. Giraffary gets beaten by Sneasel. Opposing Fletchender get beaten by Marini. Hattrem gets beaten by Misdreavus. Gabite gets beaten by Sneasel, and finally Marini gets beaten by Gabite. And that's it for the other metagames in Pokemon Showdown. And I know these teams are a lot harder to build for because they're a lot more unknown and a lot more niche, but hopefully these teams will help you climb the ladder. So see you guys next time.